Since you sit on the board of Ontario Health, health tech is huge now. There's so much innovation going on in the health space. What are the opportunities to leverage technology in healthcare and without getting caught in, those bureaucracies, privacy issues? Virtual care is just one example where we've been trying for so many years to get it going. And then finally, with COVID, it all happened overnight, but it took something to push it to get us past it. So where do you see some opportunities that we should maybe tap into?
The opportunities are huge. And no, you can't get away with the bureaucracy because Ontario itself is a single payer system. So the Ministry of Health is primarily responsible for taking care of the health of Ontarians. So there's always challenges and funding and what to do. But the bigger thing that we want to do is to make healthcare patient-centric. Rather than provider-centric. It shouldn't be that, someone has an illness and they don't get to see a doctor for 6 months because of the wait times. Sometimes I wonder if you need more money for healthcare. And I think that if we just found efficiencies in our systems, we wouldn't need so much more money. And sometimes there's drivers of achieving certain goals. So digital health is a priority for the Ontario government. If there was no pandemic, it may have taken us years to get to where we are now because we got this big push from COVID. So people who were not ready for it had to be ready for it. They didn't have a choice. The other thing is to find efficiencies, So I'm just going to use an example of wait times. And I'm not saying that these are things that are, where they're happening, but I think things like this do happen. I make an appointment for an MRI at one location and then, somebody else gets me another appointment that's much quicker. I go to the other one and I forget to cancel this one. Now this time slot is gone. But if we had efficient systems that would look at our resources system-wide rather than in silos, we could avoid wastage and use our resources more efficiently. That's just one tiny example of where you can find the efficiencies. I know of clinics where you still have to fax in a prescription. Fax, I don't even know how to operate a fax anymore.
Yeah, a lot of our hospitals still have fax machines.
Exactly. What they're trying to do, it's not that they don't have digital services. They're trying to make the requirements of the lowest common denominator. If somebody can only do a fax, not everybody has a smartphone, not everybody has all the technology. Your contingency plan, faxes work and paper works. It's not easy to achieve what we want to achieve, and it's a huge system. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to serve on the board. And just as I joined the board, COVID hit. Well, our real mandate is to take care of the health of people, and we've been doing that by providing COVID-related services, and that's, I'm sure, has put some things on hold. Technology can do tasks for you that are repetitive, so that gives us time to do things that are more creative, that are more problem solving. The human touch will never go away, even with AI and machine learning. Now you're finding that people who program AI, we all have inherent
biases, right? Yes.
So if your whole algorithm is biased because, I have a bias towards something.
Yes.
Like, even though we have the solutions, but how do we make it happen and how do we make it cost effective? How do we make technology cost effective so that the common person can afford to use those services?
It's so interesting because I heard about that because Google, they developed a software to screen the resumes, and they were developed by Indian and Chinese engineers. So it was biased for, those populations.
We don't even know that we are, because we are so unconscious about this.
Right.
These are things that we grew up with. When you look at my team, I have, my team is pretty diverse, and, I'm going to take this into a diversity situation. I didn't plan on having a diversity team or a diverse team when I needed to hire people for Cargojet. So we weren't big, huge company at the time where, you could, to attract people, to attract the right kind of talent. But what I found was that new immigrants made the best candidates, because I didn't ask them if they were doing Oracle work, whether they had Canadian experience. So Oracle is Oracle, programming in Java is programming in Java, no matter which country in the world you live in. And so I brought in people who were fresh immigrants who had the skill set and the right attitude. And if you look at my team now, it is so diverse. I have women, I have men, I have people from a lot of different countries, different philosophies of life, parents, non-parents, single. Like, there's an amazing mix of people. And you know what? These immigrants who first joined my organization, because I also want to point out that this month, today or yesterday, this week, is Cargojet's 20th anniversary.
Okay. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yes, it's been quite a journey. And in my team meeting, we identified one of my, the person who's been with me the longest has been with me for 18 years. 18 years, 14 years, 10 years. It's like people tend to stay when they're respected. They tend to stay when they're given opportunities to learn. So somebody who joined me 18 years ago and was doing SQL is now writing JSON programs, right? Because I challenge them, I give them the tools they need to learn new things.
Right.
And they never fail me.
How can we implement that in the healthcare space? Because you see a lot of professionals coming from, like, immigrants in the healthcare space, and they're not able to find work that meets their qualifications or challenges them.
Yes, that's I think a universal problem, in that the standards for healthcare education are different in every country. So if we are going to have Canadian foreign medical graduates coming to Canada, they need to be able to implement the same kind of standards that Canada is used to. Even with the US, it's different. Even when you look at the system, one is metric, one is imperial. Right? A US doctor comes here, they got to unlearn a lot of the things before they can be fitted into them. So what I find is that there's a promise of a better life. You come to Canada, but I think what doesn't happen is, nobody tells you how difficult it is for an Indian doctor or a banker to transition those skills unless somebody takes a chance on you, unless somebody says, well, banking is banking. So I think we need education programs that help transition new immigrants into getting the Canadian certifications. So, we need to bring in immigrants that we need, the skill sets that we need, and then also help them transition, right? So, but like I said, this is not my world. All I know is that I hired new immigrants. I'm not saying that I didn't hire local people, but they were all local people who just needed a break, right? So they're, and then you invest in them. You invest in your employees, you train them, you bring them up. And I've been very fortunate with my team. Cargojet's been very fortunate with our team.